3 billion dead. Entire cities incinerated. The sun shrouded by the nuclear fallout which completely cover the sky. With nuclear war quickly approaching us amidst the tension in today's world, surely you must have been thinking about what might happen to us in the event of a nuclear war. What's going to happen to the Earth? Can humanity survive the aftermath of an all-out nuclear war? This is the scariest possibility to think about and consider, but it is a very realistic scenario, unfortunately. In 2018, nuclear fallout was officially ranked as the #1 threat to humanity by all of the world's panels, forums, and nations. Everything in the entire history of the Earth, not just humans, is child's play compared to what will happen. All other catastrophes will be looked at as a vacation as we enter a new age that we might not even live long enough to see. To get an understanding of the amount of power we're dealing with, the bombs dropped on Japan were only 36 kilotons of TNT. Today, a typical US nuclear warhead has 2,000 kilotons of TNT. There are around 15,000 nuclear warheads today, which results in over 3 billion kilotons. This is as if the entire city of Manhattan was one gigantic nuclear bomb, including the skyscrapers. The result of a nuclear war on this scale will result in extreme levels of radiation, which will kill every living organism, including most ocean life. The rest of the land will be uninhabitable. Mass fires will eradicate all life around it, including plants and any greenery. Buildings will be destroyed, and cities will be laid to waste. This isn't even the worst part. Nuclear winter will follow up, which will eventually get anyone who miraculously survived. But let's take a step-by-step look at what's going to happen. Should all the nuclear arsenals of the world be unleashed in the most dreaded manifestation of mutually assured destruction, the toll would be staggering. Approximately 3 billion lives would be extinguished by the initial blast alone. However, even in a scaled-down scenario, such as a limited nuclear conflict between two nations, the loss of life would still be horrific, with an estimated death toll of around 350,000. For the purpose of this video, we shall focus on the worst-case scenario, where the entirety of mankind's arsenal is unleashed on a global scale. The first chapter in the Symphony of Destruction will be the fire. Within the core of a nuclear detonation, an intense and concentrated ball of fire emerges, surpassing even the scorching heat of the sun itself. Everything inside that circle will evaporate, including people. Everything within kilometers will begin to burn immediately. The fire will spread, destroying and burning everything in the way. Potential firestorms could start and will increase the damage even further. What will follow is a mushroom cloud that will tower over the atmosphere and push its way into space, claiming its mighty work and claiming the throne of what finally managed to destroy our great planet. That mushroom cloud, however, is the least dangerous thing that is going to happen. The fire from the blasts that are burning the cities and forests will become so hot that the air will create its own microclimate and wind system. The hot air and smoke will rise, pulling in more air and oxygen, which will then fuel the flames and the heat even further. Another chain event that will create a colossal pyrocumulonimbus cloud that lifts the soot and aerosols from the flames into the stratosphere. Normally the rain would just wash it out if it was just on a smaller scale or if it was just one bomb, but these aren't normal levels. With a force of this magnitude, it will reach altitudes way above the stratosphere and can stay there for years. If it was just one city, it wouldn't be a big deal relative to the potential catastrophe we're talking about. But in a nuclear war and hundreds or thousands of bombs are launched, up to 150 million tons of soot will be sent directly into the stratosphere. That would be the size of a skyscraper. The soot will form a layer in the atmosphere, like a blanket covering the Earth. This layer will prevent sunlight from reaching the Earth. Now, winter happens when just a little less sunlight reaches the planet, and the entire climate behaves differently. Now we are talking about an entirely larger scale, nuclear winter. Nuclear winter is still a heavily researched event, and it is still unclear just how bad it will be. Scientists are not sure of the lengths that this catastrophe will reach and how many deaths will come as a result. A lot of different factors come into play when determining the extent of this catastrophe. Factors such as how hot temperatures reach, the materials in the city itself that are burned, how many firestorms are formed, the time of year, and so on. But we're going to move with the worst-case scenario, The good news is that it is not permanent. The nuclear winter will only last as long as the soot remains in the atmosphere. It will only take a couple of decades until it clears out. The bad news is that we won't be there to see it. There will be immediate climate change on Earth, and no living organism will be able to adapt to how fast it's going to come. All the seasons will change. Long winters will plague the Earth. Shorter and colder summers. That's if the season doesn't even get canceled. The lack of summertime will result in less evaporation in oceans, which means less rain, which means a large-scale drought. There will be no vegetation. Crops will decrease, if not vanish completely. Temperatures will drop below freezing points, ending all food production. In fact, it is expected that around 90% of all food on Earth will disappear from the initial blast, and as a result, the people will follow. Around 5 billion people would die from starvation in 2 years if they were still alive after the blast and the radiation. Few countries could potentially make it, depending on the distance of the blast. Assuming the blasts were focused on countries like the United States or Russia, then Australia, New Zealand, and Argentina may be able to endure. They're further away from the rest of the world and could experience a milder nuclear winter. They also have a lot of livestock that could survive and fare better than the plants. But even still, we're still talking about the beginning, and we're assuming people survive the blast. In any way, the entire civilization would collapse entirely, and any remaining survivors will go back to being scavengers and wanderers. Human civilization will be pushed back thousands of years. Another potential issue that will surely wipe out the entire population within days is if water supplies or water sources are contaminated. Now that is a bit of a far-fetched possibility, considering the vast bodies of water that are far off from each other. Even still, it is a nightmarish possibility that, of course, we love to explore. In the case that water is contaminated, if humans do not figure out a way to clean the water before drinking it, and figure it out fast, good night, humanity. Forget about the food and starvation. Now we enter dehydration. There are plenty of reasons for us to be scared and actually consider the possibility of nuclear war today more than ever. Countries are almost at boiling points today, and every couple of years it seems that a new country develops nuclear weapons. The US is even releasing its hold on controlling the world's nuclear arms. But even with all of today's political conflicts, the danger doesn't end there. There are around 100 nuclear weapons today that are officially reported to be lost or missing. If they were to end up in the wrong hands, we are looking at a very bleak future for all of mankind. What do you think the future of mankind looks like? How worried are you about a potential nuclear annihilation? What if the Earth went through nuclear annihilation and all of humanity was wiped out? What will happen next? That's a topic for another video. Stay tuned. And finally, if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Leave a comment about what we should discuss next. See you in the next one.